All right, everybody. Tonight's episode of Wrestle Magic, I will be giving an interview to Mr. Marcus Buff Bagwell. Sir, would you like to make your presence known to the audience?
Hey, this is Buff, and I am the stuff.
Awesome, man. Love hearing that promo. It's always been a nice little intro for you.
Thank you.
So, how you doing today, man? How's life treating you where you're at, bud?
Dude, really, really well. I'm 22 months sober, and I never really I've never been, actively sober ever in my entire life. From a very young age, I learned to fix it. I had a sleep apnea at a very young age, but there wasn't a word called sleep apnea yet. So I was just tired and didn't know why. So I learned to fix it, and me fixing it was with drugs. I would use drugs to wake up, and then later on in life, I fixed the sleep apnea with medical stuff, but then I was addicted to drugs. So, it was a battle that I stayed sedated for about 20 years, but I am now 22 months sober, and I, honest to God, and I think people, when they hear this, they think, I hear that all the time, but I don't see how that's true. But I mean, my life is it's 100 times better. I've never been more clear on everything, more positive with everything that happens. It's just one good thing after another. I mean, I have bad days like everybody does, but I mean, the overall picture is just much clearer, and it's just a better way of life doing it sober.
Hey, man, I'm proud of you for getting sober. That is an incredible accomplishment. Keep it going, man. Absolutely incredible. I personally, I don't drink or anything as well. So, hey, I hear you. It's a good life to just be able to feel everything and all that.
That's a great word, to be able to feel. Anytime I started to feel something, I fixed it where I felt what I wanted to feel. I mean, I had a pill for everything. It was a pill to go to bed, a pill to wake up, a pill to go train, a pill after I trained. It was just crazy. It was just pill, and it was and to have the freedom from that it's spectacular, and I just love life.
Absolutely, man. It's nice to see that you have no more bounds like that. It's awesome. Maybe caffeine or something, but hey, nothing wrong with that.
That's it.
All right. Let's get straight into it. My colleague, King Scully, he was the one who really helped arrange this, so shout out to him. But also, he wanted to ask, where exactly did you feel you wanted to become a wrestler? Where did it all start for you, man?
Where it all started for me, really, it wasn't up to me. A thing that I'll say before I explain it is, I believe in life, and I have yet to be proven wrong about this. I really believe that life chooses you. If you really are doing something that is lucrative and you love doing it, I've yet to be proved wrong that it chose you. And it may take a few minutes. You may have to say, oh no, I picked this. But by the time you figure it out, it was your mother's, brother's, uncle's friend that maybe mentioned something about what you're doing that led you to do what you do. I believe life picks you. And what me believing that is because life picked me. Wrestling picked me. I was 21 years old. I was 18 years old, and I graduated high school. And at the same year I graduated, my parents went broke. I was in a very successful, rich, very wealthy family growing up, and it all ended in 1988, which is the year I graduated high school. So my father come to us and said, look, you got three boys. I was the baby. He said, look, you guys got to find something to do with life because I'm done. It's over. We're out of money. Don't know what to do. So I wanted to do something with sports, but I had a horrible grade point average because we were going to work for the family's lumber yard. And so I had a 1.8 grade point average. I did what it took to basically get through school because I had $1 million lumber yard waiting on me. And so when they all went down, those grades really mattered, and I didn't have them. So I wanted to do sports training or some kind of sports medicine. And with a horrible grade point average, the first step to sports medicine was massage therapy. I found a way that I could go become a massage therapist. I could be making an income, and it would be a first step into some kind of sports massage, sports training, something associated with being an athlete is what I wanted to do. And so that was a 10-month course. So I graduated the Atlanta School of Massage, and like probably 1990. I was 20 years old, and then started trying to be a massage therapist as I turned 21. September of 19, well, no, it was earlier than that. So I do that. So you got to figure from the time I graduated was 18 years old. And I'm a January baby, and you graduate, around June, July. So you're talking about 18 and a half years old. And then when I signed with WCW, I was 21, September of 21 years old. So you're talking about 3 years from the day I graduated high school to the day I signed with WCW. That's unheard of, brother. There's so much luck involved right there. It's not even funny, but you've heard the path. So graduate high school, 10 months massage therapy school, and from there to WCW was trying to become a massage therapist, a very good massage therapist. I got a job with a company called Corporate Sports, and I found out a devastating blow was women were insecure to get a massage from an attractive male. I thought that me being in shape and me being, having a good personality, I thought that would be a plus with women, and it was absolutely bad for the women thing because they were very insecure with, getting their clothes off to get massaged. I mean, I would ask them, like, why don't you want me to massage you? They would say, I may have some fat on my back, or I may have a bump on my back. My husband would kill me. I heard all these different things while trying to fix me spending $10,000 to be a massage therapist and 10 months of my life to become a massage therapist. The last thing I wanted to do was do something else, but it was really not working out because you got to have, in any industry, you got to have men and women to be successful in it because you're cutting the population in half. So during that transformation of what I was trying to do, I was very depressed about it. And I was at my pool one day where I lived in a place called Poplar Place Apartments in Kennesaw, Georgia. And Missy Hyatt was at the pool. And this is where my saying and my belief, it picked me. She walks up to me and is like, hey, you should be a pro wrestler. I'm like, what? What is that? What does that mean? What do you mean? And do you know what pro wrestling is? Yes, I've seen it on TV. And I said, those guys don't make any money, though. And she goes, our lowest paid guy makes $100,000 a year. And I went, tell me more. So She told me a little more and told me how to get trained. And I went down to the WCW school. There wasn't a power plant yet. There was no WCW school. There was a warehouse with a guy named Buddy Lee Parker and a guy named Jody Hamilton. They ran a school, but it didn't have a name or anything. It's just a place you went to get trained. Kevin Nash was down at that school, and I went down there. The day I went down there to see about it, Kevin Nash was there, and it was just a dump, They wanted $3,000 to get trained. And I went back to Missy. I said, Missy, it's a dump, and I don't have $3,000, So she found a local guy to train me, a guy named Steve the Brawler Lawler, and he trained me for about 2 weeks. And out of that, now again, do all of the math. You got graduated at 18, 10 months of massage therapy, try to make massage therapy work, and then go to wrestling school and signed with WCW in September of 91. So very fast track to the big leagues. Probably wasn't well deserved of it. Probably didn't work near as hard as most people, but, from A to Z, I worked extremely hard by how my body looked physically, mentally, I may not have known a lot of stuff in the ring when I first got to WCW, but I learned really, really quick. And, but the track to pro wrestling was It Picked Me.
That's honestly pretty awesome. I'm really glad to hear about that whole story. So when you got to WCW and everything, my Uncle Mike had a question. He's a main guy on the podcast. He's the one who really runs the episodes for the most part. He was asking about, so you had the Strangler gimmick and everything. What exactly happened to that? When was the transition from that to Buff the Stuff,
Well, that gimmick, that character was called the Handsome Stranger, not the Strangler.
Oh, right.
Yeah, it's okay. It was really, again, these things pick us, I was 20, I was 19 probably, almost 20, and I was a stripper at a place in Atlanta called the Lemon Peel, trying to make money, broke. I was independent wrestling, a male stripper, and just trying to make money, trying to live, trying to survive, and at the same time trying to be a wrestler. And I remember being at the Lemon Peel and watching myself on a company called Global Championship Wrestling as the Handsome Stranger. And it was on ESPN, and it was a great time spot. But again, looking back on it, it seemed like it was a year, but it was about 3 months. That's all it was. So again, you got the 10 months of schooling of massage therapy, training to become a pro wrestler, 3 months at Global as the Handsome Stranger. And then from that is where that 3 months, man, I learned a lot in 3 months. So I really did. I was out in the ring with guys that really knew what they were doing. I mean, hot stuff, Eddie Gilbert's. X-Pac was called the Lightning Kid. The Patriot was there. Raven was there as Scott Anthony, the Palm Beach Heartthrob. Rod Price, Tugboat. There were several major superstars there that knew how to work. And I really learned. Rip Rogers was there, which was my first win at WCW. He was a fantastic wrestler. So I really was thrown in the ring with guys that knew what they were doing at that Global. That 3 months at Global, man, I really went from below average independent wrestler to above average independent wrestler. And then at WCW, you're only as good as who you work. So when I got in the ring with guys that knew what they were doing, I could fake it, and I faked it till I made it. And it didn't take a whole lot of faking, but a little faking till I made it big, and it worked out. But the Handsome Stranger was a great gimmick. I wore this like Lone Ranger mask, and Bill Eadie of Demolition, his wife is who created that gimmick. So I came out with roses, and I handed roses out to the women, and it was a real cheesy type of gimmick. But, I mean, I loved it. It was a great thing, and looking back on it, people really enjoyed that character.
Absolutely. So what was the transition like going from that character to Buff? How did that all work out and everything?
Well, the transition from that would have been from that to Marcus Alexander Bagwell, which is myself. So I went Long Ranger mask to WCW. So the transition would have been from Marcus Alexander Bagwell to Buff. That transition, wasn't none of them's very big. It's a transition that you just try to throw things against the wall to see what sticks. But as Marcus Alexander Bagwell, that character was, the women would cheer, but the men would be like, oh, boo, who's this pretty boy, good guy, boo. So again, I found myself in a business that I had half of the population. The one half of the women liked Marcus Alexander Bagwell. The half of the men did not. So again, I got 50% of the nation that's rooting for me. So by creating the character Buff, now you got the women that cheer for me still, but now I'm dialing into that men audience, the male audience, which is, that Buff Bagwell, he's a cool dude, man. And so by having both male and female, that's what Buff did. And that transition was a really good one at a good time. And it's what got me, from Marcus Alexander Bagwell to a little more stardom with the Buff.
Fair enough, man. So being who you are and everything, it's been interesting to me to see, because I'll be honest, you're not like the biggest name, but you're somebody that you've had some great moments, and you are very well remembered for being in the 90s and everything. So I do want to ask you about, so there's a lot of guys that you worked with, obviously, that were part of, I want to call them the old guard. You know, you had Hogan, you had Flair, you had all those guys who really are just legends in their own right. So I'd like to ask, whatever you're comfortable with saying, who do you feel were the better guys to be with, and how you felt about some of those guys, and who were you just like, I can't stand this person, or just didn't want to be around them?
I'll be honest with you, and there was, at WCW, we did not have, oh my God, I don't want to be around those guys. We just really didn't. Everybody got along pretty good, man. We were kind of like a family. I mean, you know, you had different cliques. Like, you know, there's guys I wouldn't ride with in cars, but it wasn't personal. It was what they did. Like, if you rode in Sting's and Marcus Alexander Bagwell's rent-a-car on the road, you were going to the gym, you were going to go play golf, you were going to tan, train, you were going to eat good, and we were going to bowl or play golf in the middle. We were going to be doing something fun, but the main thing it was all surrounded by was weight training, diet, and tanning, and that was just a must. So that differentiated the guys. That separated the guys a lot, because a lot of guys didn't do that. You know, we didn't know what beer was yet. We didn't know what pills were yet. We just knew about becoming the best pro wrestler we could become. And during that time, there was never any like tension with anybody. So we got along, everybody got along at WCW really well. And I mean, things changed as it went on, but still there was never any big feuds. If it was, it kind of got squashed because everybody got along pretty good. But but the clique that I hung around was Sting, Lex Luger, Scott Norton, Scotty Riggs, Patriot, you know, the guys that I tag team with as well. But, but everybody kind of had their own rent-a-car. You got to realize there's only 4 seats in that rent-a-car. That's all there is. So 3 or 4 buddies is all you got. And a lot of times it would be a couple of cars following each other. But it was whatever you did outside the ring is what chose your people. But as far as, you know, guys I didn't want to be around, there really wasn't that kind of a clique. Everybody worked everybody, and everybody kind of got along.
That's pretty cool, man. I'm glad that you guys were more of a close-knit unit than, you know, you hear stories about like a WWE and how they had the clique backstage and how people had animosity and all that. And yeah,
right.
It's kind of nice to hear that you guys were, you know, closer and just didn't seem to mind. So I do want to ask, what was just hanging out with Lex Luger like, and Sting? You know, what were they like? Just general normal guys, or, you know, anything special?
They were fantastic. Sting was the first one to kind of take me under his wing. You know, I was 21 years old. The next youngest person was probably Flying Brian at 30. You know, that's 9 years, bro. That's a 9-year difference in age. So they didn't really know what to do with me. You know, they signed me to a $500 a year contract. And 2 days into that, Barry Windham blew his knee out, and I was on the road with WCW and never looked back. I stayed on the road, and into my first year, I was Rookie of the Year and Tag Team of the Year and World Tag Team Champions all in 1992, and never looked back. So Sting, at the beginning, he took me under his wing, and I was riding in his car, and all the boys were like, "What are you doing with that young guy? He don't know what he's doing," and blah, blah, blah. But me and Sting got really close. So that really helped out a lot with the other boys accepting me and stuff. But Lex wasn't there. He was there in the very beginning, and then he left. So me and Lex wasn't friends at all, but he was at WWF. So when Lex came in to the company, that's when Sting started having some personal problems at home, and he started going home a lot in California. And me and Lex, man, we hooked up, and was everything. We were number one. We call it number one personalities, which is, you know, just everything had to be the best and the right way, and from filling the ice in the cooler the right way to the way we did our workouts. We were very organized. we were very, very good and bad for each other. Me and Lex were. At first, it was all great. I mean, we were all great for each other. It was workout, tan, train, eat, diet. I mean, it was just nonstop. Lex Luger and Buff Bagwell were going to be the best that we could be. So it was a blast. I had a fantastic time with Lex Luger and Sting.
That's awesome, man. I'm glad to hear that you got along with them so well. So more digging into your character a little bit, I do want to ask, were there any inspirations from the outside or, maybe movies or anything like that for where Buff came from, really, the gimmick? I'm really questioning, was it like some sort of, I don't know, like kind of alpha male vibrato sort of thing, or where do you think that the character's whole idea came from?
I really think it came from just everybody's gimmick. Everybody's gimmick that really works is just an exaggerated version of yourself. Diamond Dallas Page doing the bang and the way he talks, that's just him dialed up a notch and him exaggerating Paige Falkenberg. Ric Flair, same thing. When Ric Flair's out there, woo, woo, and all that, that is just a slightly exaggerated of himself. Marcus Alexander Bagwell, as a rookie and the age I was and being a pretty boy and all that, there's rules, man. And those rules are, you got to, when I'm doing a promo and I'm wrestling Rick Rude, I can't really cut a real good promo because I'm a babyface. I'm young and green, and I'm Marcus Alexander Bagwell, Rookie of the Year. And I found that it just wasn't it wasn't a lot of fun. So, but getting that character over, people really got behind it because of Sting saving me and putting him helping me out. It really got some traction. But when I saw that, when I got in the ring with NWO guys, it was definitely time to come up with another name. It's like Stone Cold and like Sting and like Lex Luger. Marcus Alexander Bagwell was my real name. It didn't hit. The Rock. So I went to WCW with, look, I want to call myself Buff. And they agreed to use the word Buff, but they would not drop Marcus Bagwell because they had worked too hard on it. So they agreed to call me Marcus Buff Bagwell, but I really didn't want to be called that. I wanted to be called Buff. I just wanted the one name, and Buff. In this corner, Buff. In this corner, The Rock. In this corner, Sting. I wanted just that one powerful name. So they still threw it in there, but they wanted the Marcus Bagwell with it.
Fair enough, man. So the American Males Tag Team, it was pretty successful. And I've watched a little bit of Nitro from back in the day and everything starting in 1995. How did you feel about your guys' entry music? Because after listening to it times, it's like, man, this is just goofy sounding. What did you think of it?
Well, first let me tell you that if you ever heard that song without the words, it's incredible. I mean, we did a video. There's an American Male video out there that you can find that is, to this day, the best video I've ever done in my life. It's a black and white video before black and white was cool. A guy named Kemper Rogers was this guy's name. Kemper Rogers, he worked for WCW, but he also did a lot of stuff on his own. Me and Scotty Riggs did this American Male video, and it was absolutely incredible. The video is Jimmy Hart came up with the music, and in the video that the words don't get said, and it is, and it's incredible. But then you go, American males, American males, American males. It rips it apart. But still, to this day, people love it. I mean, it's people enjoy it, and they you just don't forget it.
Yeah, I agree with that, man. And I do agree. It is very nice sounding, just musically without the
no vocals is the word. There's no vocals. It's really good.
Right. I have to say, but yeah, next to a Danger High Voltage, I think it would have been like, because of the vocals, it just makes it, that bad.
Oh, yeah. It was horrible.
Yeah, totally agree, man. So I do kind of want to ask you about your mom and everything, and just, did you ever think that like when you entered that business, your mom would also become just as famous with you, man? Or, because I can't imagine, going into that kind of business and like my mom being next to me, it's just the last thing that'd come on my mind.
Well, and to think about this, I mean, she was one half of the World Tag Team Champions, bro. Mm-hmm. In the end, if you did research, Judy Bagwell and Rick Steiner were the World Tag Team Champions. That's crazy. But no, I didn't see any of that coming. All of that idea was Rick Steiner's. Rick Steiner, I broke my neck. Rick Steiner broke my neck in Columbia, South Carolina, April 22nd, 1998. And I turned heel. And by the time we went back to Columbia, I was a full-blown heel. Well, Rick's idea was to have Judy, my mom, in Columbia, in the same town I broke my neck in, and have her being like, what are you doing? What are you doing dogging all the fans and blaming Rick Steiner for your injury and blah, blah, blah. So, and Rick, I don't think it would have worked if it was my idea, because why is Mark Bagwell trying to get his mother on TV? I don't think it would have worked with all the egos, but it had nothing to do with me. It had nothing to do with it. Rick went to Eric Bischoff with it. Eric asked for my blessing, and I said, absolutely, whatever you want to do, let's do it. And so Mom was a great character. And that night in Columbia, I remember like saying, I was talking to her backstage, and I wasn't finding who I needed. She was a tough, rough woman that ran a lumber business in the 70s and 80s, a 99% male-populated business and industry was ran by a woman. She had 200 men employees, and there isn't no, in 70s and 80s, there was no women truck drivers. So you had all a male-dominant industry, and there my mother is running a very successful lumber yard. And so, her in a backstage of a bunch of wrestlers, no problem. But when I was talking to her in Columbia backstage, I was losing her, man. I was like, oh, Mom, come on. No, come on now. You got to do this and you got to talk like this. And I could see the more I pushed, the more she went away. And so at that stage, I had to get myself ready for TV. And I was like, Dad, just talk to her and do the best you can, man. But so I'd already planned to have something to say to her to really get her out there so she would snap out of it. So she wasn't supposed to get in the ring. She wasn't supposed to touch Scott Steiner, and she wasn't supposed to get in the ring. So she's out there, and she was talking pretty good, but I still was going to say what I had planned. And I said, the truth is what I said to her. I said, let me tell you something, lady. Without me, you couldn't even eat. And here she come, brother. She came in that ring, and I went, yes. And then she slapped me, and then she went to Scott, and Scott almost broke her arm. But my mom had to wear a brace for like a month after that because he almost broke her wrist. But it was fantastic, and literally a star was born.
Yeah, it is. Honestly, it is pretty cool that you got to incorporate your family with everything. I mean, I do want to also bring up the Judy Bagwell on the forklift match, because where did this idea come from, man? I have to say, God, who's the heel in that match? Was it Kenyon, I think?
Yeah.
And then he actually did work a pretty good promo. Like, I still wanted to hate him while he was talking. I will give him credit. He was pretty good on the stage.
Absolutely.
But, yeah, I do want to ask, where was the inspiration for that? And where did this idea come from, man?
Vince Russo was reaching. During this time, the company was in trouble, and I was getting some heat for speaking up. And so when they came to me with this, I was like, sure. Whatever. And I didn't want to argue no more with him. I was tired of arguing. Hey, do what you want to do. And I hear you. Let's do it. So I didn't say a word about it. I just said, okay, let's do it. I mean, it even, the name was even messed up. Like Judy Bagwell on a pole match is what it was called. But it was Judy Bagwell on a forklift. And again, The Mark Bagwell that I wanted to be was go to him and say, hey, guys, why is it called a pole when it's a forklift? But the new Mark said, nope, don't say a word. All you're getting is heat. So just keep your mouth shut and do what they say, because that's what the top stars say to do. Your Alexas and your Stings, those guys, shut your mouth, Mark, and just do what you're told. So I shut my mouth and did what I told, and I watched this match called Judy Bagwell on a pole match, except it was a forklift, and I went out and did what I was told.
All right, fair enough, man. It is a little goofy, but you know what? Hey, man, you got to get...
The craziest part about it, though, is a very big populated part of Georgia. It made sense to because of the lumber company. I don't think Vince Russo knew that my parents had a lumber yard. I don't think nobody at WCW, except a few of my friends, knew about Southeastern Building Supply, because it was over in 1988. So I don't think nobody even knew about it. But old Marcus Bagwell or Stephen G. Bagwell people that knew them, and probably watching the show, were like, oh, that's because she ran the lumber company. But wrestling fans were like, what is going on? So it was really weird. I just chalked it up to another, Vince Russo idea, and I didn't want to complain. I just said, yes, sir, and did what I was supposed to do.
Yeah, man, I hear that. I mean, sometimes you just got to do what you got to do, follow what your contract says.
That's it.
But yeah, man, so I do also want to ask about, so your career altogether, do you have any, favorite moments that you went through that you just look back and you're like, man, that was just my absolute top, and you just think, man, I could go back to that any day?
The whole NWO thing, man, was extremely special. It really was. I mean, the whole career was a lot of fun. I mean, I was think about this. I was a 5-time World Tag Team Champion, and the whole run was only 10 years. So every other year, I was a World Tag Team Champion on the average. So I really hate that I wasn't in running for the world belt. I do think I was in a little running with Dallas for the U.S. belt for a little bit. I may have been the U.S. champion for a short bit. I can't even remember. But I don't think I was ever the U.S. champion. I think I was close to getting it or something. But that was the only running I was in for. But then we had a TV belt, and we had the U.S. strap and the tag belts and the world belt. But I was never even in the running, for the world belt. But again, you look back on it, when you're a World Tag Team Champion every other year on the average, is there time for a world belt? I mean, I'm not sure there is. So, I mean, back then you didn't have guys that had the world belt and they were tag team champions. It was pretty rare. So, most of the time it was, you just had one belt and that's all. So overall, I really felt like they did me right. I was always in the running for something, and I was always figured in, and I had a great 10-year run on television.
Hey, fair enough, man. I mean, like you said, you started out kind of green, and, hey, we all start out green in whatever we're going to do in life, Right. So I can kind of understand in the beginning, hey, we'll give them tag team belts and everything. We'll keep them on the low for now. But I feel like they should have at some point been able to work you into at least one storyline, even if it was going to be short-lived. Why not,
And they did. I remember them doing a little bit with me in Dallas over the U.S. belt, but it wasn't big enough and it wasn't long enough.
That's valid. So do you think that maybe the locker room might have just been too oversaturated with talent at the time to work you in, or do you think it was just, political?
A lot of people don't talk about that, and I hate talking about it because it makes it sound like, we were so much talent, so much talent, but think about it, bro. I mean, I look at the AEW roster,
mm-hmm.
and half of their roster, bro, would not have been on a Nitro show. It wouldn't have been there. I mean, Nitro was slammed, bro, from Chavo Guerrero's to Billy Kidman's to Marcus Bagwell's to Chris Benoit's to Eddie Guerrero's when he was there. I mean, it was crazy. To Canyons, to Dallas's, Luger's, Stings, not Demolition, but Chronic. All the Gendrax and O'Hara's that were coming up, Palumbo's. It was slammed, bro. It was crazy. I mean, you got Billy Kidman, you got Saturn, you got Raven, you got Lex Luger, Stings, Chronics, Dallas Pages, Rick Rudes. It was crazy, bro. Scott Norton's, Kevin Nash's, Scott Hall's. I mean, you got so many names that what do you do with all these guys, right? I mean, what do you do with them? It's crazy. It was a talent-filled roster, brother.
Absolutely. It was just absolutely massive. You guys had legends. You had plenty of up-and-comers. You had Booker T. You had Kenyon. You had yourself. It was so many people involved at the same time. And it's like, how do we give the spotlight to everybody equally where it needs to go?
Yeah.
Yeah, with the NWO and everything, they kind of tried to give it to everyone at once just to say, like, okay, here's everybody that we've got. It kind of felt like, to me anyways. And, things always run their course, and it seemed like eventually it got overplayed, which, is what it is. History is history.
Yes.
But, there's just so many people that were on that roster. It's kind of hard to, it's hard to push everybody at that point unless you, make another show and another belt with it. But, so your career, favorite moments. Do you have any regrets with your career as well? I do want to ask that.
That's a good question. I always said I didn't, but let me think about that. Like, regret, a regret I'll think of, like, that I had no stroke in or no power into it. But, turning me heel out of that neck break, I probably could have became one of the biggest baby faces ever coming out of that broken neck thing, man. I mean, I had 10,000 letters, bro. I had people that were in the war, the Desert Storm War, that would touch my picture before going to battle. I mean, when I turned heel there, it was really bad to the public. My parents were physically upset that I was turning heel because of all the letters and the thousands of letters they wrote and read and responded to. And I broke my neck on live television. I was paralyzed for 4 or 5 minutes on live television. It was crazy, And so for me to throw that in their face and turn heel, again, it wasn't my decision. It was Eric Bischoff's, and I think it was a great one. But it really was a pivotal time that really could have maybe, I remember this very, very clearly. Triple H at the time had tore his quad. If you could do your math, when I was hurt, April 22nd, 1998, from then to the next 10 months, I can tell you Triple H tore his quad in that period of time. When he tore his quad in that period of time, and carrying your quad is a big deal, brother. It's huge, but it ain't as big as breaking your neck and being paralyzed. It ain't. Our company didn't talk about my broke neck at all. I mean, no video. They had a whole video of Triple H coming back. You would have thought he rose from the dead. And with mine, Eric felt like it was bad karma. So there was no videos in the hospital. There were no vignettes shot. I was just back wrestled, lost to the guy that broke my neck, which never happens. I lost the match, and then it was over. A 2-year-long angle that you could have done between Rick Steiner and Buff Bagwell was one match and done. It was crazy. I have no idea what they were doing. But again, the question is, do I have regret? There's no regret to me. It was not what I would have done. It wasn't my decision, but there's no regret there. So I don't have any regrets at all. For 10 years, I did what I did. I was probably addicted to pills already, but I had that WCW leash, and it was a strong leash, brother. It was a really strong leash that kept me right. Now, when that leash was cut off and I was depressed and the WWF had let me go and all that, man, I was right there and off I went, buddy. So for the next 20, for sure, I was sedated heavily. But that 10, I really was I was in check.
That's fair. Man, it is kind of unfortunate that they booked you that way. That really doesn't make sense to me. And they could have played so much off, sympathy and making you just the easiest baby face. That could have been great for you.
Yeah.
Character and development and everything would have fallen into your lap at that point, because hey, they see you just went through all that. You basically recovered from almost the same thing that Draws went through, except you didn't have to be completely paralyzed for the rest of your life. Thank God,
Right. I went and saw Draws in the hospital. So I had broke my neck. I had came back from the dead, so to speak, and back in the ring and everything. And I remember Terry Taylor called me up and said, "Hey, will you go visit Draws in the hospital?" I said, "Sure will." So I'll never forget it. He was in the Philadelphia. It was in Philadelphia. I can't remember what hotel. I can't remember what hospital, but it was. But WCW set it up for me to go do, and I flew in and went to see Draws in the hospital. And I remember giving him bad advice, but it was I was trying to be positive, and when I broke my neck in the ring, I remembered when I could wiggle my fingers and toes as they're putting me on the board, that I didn't know at the time, but that was going to be good news later on. When I visited Draws in the hospital, he was able to move a little bit. And I said, "Man, that's got to be good news." And I told him the finger and toe story, but obviously it was not good news. It was bad news that he never recovered.
I mean, hey, man, it is what it is. You were being positive for a friend and everything, and you shared with your experience. There's nothing wrong with that, man.
Right.
I think that you did right by him either way.
Yes.
So, looking at your career overall, how would you describe it, honestly?
My career, the answer is much different than my WCW run. I would look at my WCW run as a fantastic run that was well deserved, well managed, maybe a little on the underside of some achievements I could have had, but very little, bro. Again, like I said, every other year I was a world tag team champion. So I was in the NWO. I mean, that 10-year run was top notch, spectacular. But my career was over by what WWF did. So of my career, I don't really have an answer about my career, because the next 20 years was in high school gyms and some stadiums, some events. We went to Australia right out of the gate, and early 2000 was a company called the WWA, World Wrestling All-Stars, in Australia. And it was fantastic. It was big stadiums, big events, Sting, Luger's, same old card, same good big stars. And so, but still it wasn't the WWF. It wasn't the WCW. It was a third-party company. And it just, my career was a letdown, I feel. Not so much from what I did. It is what it is. But my glory years, when Vince let me go, I was 31. So my glory years, brother, was spent in different countries, different cities, trying to get back to the WWF, WWE, and knew I was never going back, but made the best of it I could. But it was really a letdown. I could have really done something big with Vince in the WWE, and I'd love to have done it, man. I would have loved it. But it just is what it is, man. I have zero regrets. I don't. I got no regrets, none. That helps a lot. I banked on. I knew that my alcohol and pills, when Vince took over, when Vince bought us, the WWF bought WCW, I knew my pills and alcohol were borderline out of control, but they had not got out of control yet. I banked on the WWF going, and they didn't. I banked on me being Buff Bagwell that they would say, you know, you got to clean up, man. You got to clean up. And I would have. I banked on a warning, a slap on the hand, and I did not receive that. My slap on the hand was get out, and it was too late. And I went, oh, my God. So the regret I have would be, if I had one, would be not getting clean sooner. But again, I wasn't out of control yet. It was starting to become out of control. And I could have easily fixed it with one rehab and, yes, sir, got back in the ring and been clean, and it would have been a whole other life. But that ain't what happened. So this path is what happened. I'm very excited about this path. I could never have this kind of story of sobriety and recovery unless I had the 20 years to talk about it. I do believe my story is going to save and change some lives, and I think that's what it's all about. So I'm very excited about what happened in my 10 years. I love the business for the whole 33, but I think my career was cut short.
That's valid, man. And, once again, I personally am really proud of you for actually getting sober, man. That's a big accomplishment. And, I really do think that your story, it could reach out to some of our listeners, somebody who may be struggling themselves, maybe to get them some help. It could be a really big thing. But, back more onto the wrestling topic. So I do want to ask you, what was your favorite match or even just event that you were a part of, man? Because,
I really, for some reason, every time I'm asked that, I remember a 1993 Halloween Havoc with the Nasty Boys. We had Teddy Long as a manager, me and Too Cold, and the Nasty Boys had Missy Hyatt as manager. So that's 7 people with 7 different brains, counting, you got wrestlers, that's 4, you got the managers, that's 6, and you got the referee, that's 7 different brains, all working together to have one excellent match. And that's the one match that I remember that when it was over, that we pulled it off. We conquered the hardest tag team match with 7 people, and everybody did their job. The 1993 Halloween Havoc.
All right, fair enough. So I also want to ask you, do you have like a dream match that's ever been in your head? Like, if you were going for a championship belt, who do you see across from you? It can be, even if it was like your brother or somebody, if you have one, growing up or whatever that you watched wrestling with, or if it's somebody that you looked up to, who would be your dream opponent, man?
The Rock.
Really?
Yeah. And let me tell you something. It was supposed to happen.
Really?
There's just no doubt. The age, he's 2 years younger. He was the 3rd or 4th wheel in that group he was in. I was the 3rd or 4th wheel in the NWO. It was just meant to be, brother. I broke my neck and lost 10 months, but I picked right back up. I lost a little speed when he gained that 10 months, and there was a crack in that window, and he got through that crack, and I didn't make it. But it was supposed to be The Rock versus Buff Bagwell.
Valid. And I know that you said that you would describe your career as kind of a letdown, but you know what? Honestly, man, the way that your story has gone, I honestly would consider your life a story of resilience at this point, man. Because I see you bouncing back no matter what has happened, and I respect you for it a lot, man.
Thank you, bro.
Absolutely, man. But something else that I do want to ask you, so what is your favorite match gimmick type outside of just normal match, man?
I'm not sure of the question. So the what now?
So match gimmick, like ladder match, cage match, Royal Rumble, what would be your favorite to watch?
That stuff really wasn't a big WCW thing. I mean, the ladder matches, if I'm right, that kind of came along later on, like tables were kind of a thing early. I remember as the American Males, I remember I went through 2 tables with the Public Enemy. That was a big deal, they put me through 2 tables, and so that was cool. But that was early. That was, 90, 93, 94 maybe. And then, tables, ladders, and chairs really wasn't happening yet. I think, that my favorite would just be what I said a minute ago. My favorite match would be a tag match with both teams having a manager and having some kind of 2 out of 3 falls.
All right. Nothing wrong with that, man. So also want to ask, who is your favorite wrestler of all time, man?
My favorite wrestler of all time is The Rock.
Fair enough. Very popular answer.
The Rock.
Yeah. Can't blame you there, dude.
Explain anything on becoming a pro wrestler, The Rock would be the perfect example.
Yeah, it's very true. He has a very inspirational story about, getting cut from CFL and everything and making his comeback and just deciding, like, I'm broke right now, but one day I'm not going to be, and absolute perseverance that he had.
Yeah, he's the best. He's number one.
Fair enough. They used to be my favorite as well for a long time. So, towards the end of the show, we always like to do you have any sort of shout-outs? Do you want to add your plugs or anything for people to, follow you on Twitter or anything like that, man?
Sure. The best way to get in touch with me would be to go to Marcus Buff Bagwell at Gmail. Marcus Buff Bagwell at Gmail. That's my email, and that's the best way to get in touch with me. All my social media has got Buff in it. It's Mark Buff Bagwell on Twitter, and the rest of them are Marcus Buff, Instagram, Facebook. So just follow me, man. I love talking to people. I love what's going on right now. So if you get a chance to check it out, if you don't know any of my social media stuff, go to Marcus Buff Bagwell at Gmail, and I will get it to you.
All right, fair enough. And something else we like to do here on Wrestle Magic, we always like to try to give recommendations to any of the fans. Do you have a recommendation in mind, sir?
Recommendation, like, let's see, like...
movie, song, book, it could be a video game, doesn't really matter. So
recommendation is, there's this really, it's an old movie, but it's a great one. It's Gladiator's my favorite movie. So if you've not seen The Gladiator, man, you got to see it. It reminds me of wrestling, because in wrestling, you've got to win the people to get popular. And the Gladiator, he's got to win the people to win his freedom. So I just really resonate with that. And every great pro wrestler can resonate with the Gladiator. But it's a great story. It's a great movie. And it's one of my favorites, The Gladiator.
Hey, fair enough. And that's a really great comparison that you gave, that you're, really getting over for the people and everything. So I hear you on that. So I do have one last question that I'd like to ask, and it's not anything crazy. Just who do you think that's on any active roster in the world that is probably the best at the moment? Who is your favorite in the active roster right now?
That's the best right now?
Yes.
Wow. See, the best to me has got to be, they've got to look the part. They've got to wrestle. They got to talk. They got to look like $1,000,000. They got to have it all. And so to me, it would still be The Rock, man. He's still the best. He still looks the best. He still can talk the best. He's still The Rock. To me, I love the Seth Rollinses. I love the Cody Rhodeses. I like the talent that's coming up. I've not seen a guy out there that makes me go, wow, I get it. But when The Rock's out there, wow, I get it.
Even still to this day, man, even when he comes out of Mania?
Yeah.
Fair enough, man. So would you like to give any last message to our listeners before we hop off the air?
No, man, just keep in touch with me. Again, Marcus Buff Bagwell at Gmail. Stay in touch with me, man. I make myself very, very reachable. I've also got a podcast called Buff and Stuff, and it's on Sunday nights on Twitch on 6 p.m. every Sunday. And the Marcus Buff Bagwell at Gmail for any questions. Cameo.com. Go to Cameo.com and get a cameo from me. It's a way I can give you a shout out for a birthday, for telling somebody to F off, to telling somebody you love them, for marriages, for vacations, anything you want said, let Buff say it for you.
Hey, fair enough, man. And before we leave, I just want to let you know, the first time that I had ever heard of you was probably around 2010 to 2012. I had received a set of wrestling DVDs, and it was called Legends of Wrestling. You were under the Heat Seekers category. You were on. That was the first time that I had ever gotten any kind of clue who Buff the Stuff was. And seeing some of your promos, I was like, this guy can really work the mic. I can kind of see why he's on the cover of this, and it makes so much sense. But yeah, that's kind of where this sort of started, and Scully really reached out to you. He really made some miracles happen, because I'll be honest with you guys, this was kind of last second. We weren't really expecting it until today when he answered the email. And so I really appreciate you being able to come on the show with us tonight. It's been a great honor. It's been really nice having you. So thank you, sir. And if anybody wants to reach me, as always, at Maintenance Mav on Twitter. And as always, do something nice for somebody. You never know who needs it. Somebody might need a pickup, man. But all right. Thank you, sir. With that.
Thank you. Really enjoyed it, brother.
Absolutely.
Take care.